In this RH Jam, we'll examine the concept of being grounded, what it means in our lives, and what role can Reconnective Healing play in regaining and maintaining it. Yes, I pronounced it right. Kelly Woodruff, practitioner, member of the International Reconnective Healing teaching team, and Reconnective Healing yoga instructor, will share with us ways in which Reconnective Healing can help us stay grounded in the midst of all our global events. We'll also share with you an exclusive clip from our upcoming premiere with Dr. Eric and Jillian on Saturday 4th, and a new update on the Reconnective Healing, on the Reconnective Life Gateway. I just want to put that healing everywhere. And all of this and more coming up in today's RH Jam. Well, hello again. That was a super short break. And if this is your first time here at the RH Jam, I just want to let you know that my name is Ana Clavell. I am the presenter. And in this program, which we try to broadcast live every Thursday at this time, it's where we cover anything and everything that has to do with Reconnective Healing. But more than that, we also touch on all these topics, suggestions, questions, and comments that you guys send us, because we know these are things that are crossing your mind, are popping up for you, and if they are meaningful and significant to you, they definitely are meaningful and significant to us as well. And if you are joining us for the first time, I just want to let you know that Reconnective Healing is an energy-based approach to healing, transformation, and communication that goes beyond transforming our DNA on a molecular level and into the larger expanse of multidimensionality. Big statement, but so true. For all of us here in the Reconnective Healing family, we have touched that multidimensionality. And let me just remind you that it was discovered by Dr. Eric Pearl in 1993. It is validated by science, multiple studies. It requires that we learn no steps, and it follows no rituals. And guys, the best thing you can do so you never miss one of our absolutely hot and current topics here at the RH Jam, I'm going to recommend that you subscribe to this channel. Subscribe, like this video, like our videos, and share them. When you guys like our videos, more people are inspired to watch them and discover Reconnective Healing for themselves. And when you share them, you give the ability to somebody who perhaps never thought that there were answers to the questions they had by just clicking on a simple link that you're gifting them. I mean, how easy. All of you guys who came here so early and put yourself right here waiting for us in the chat. Yes. Guys, sometimes this happens. I was talking to Lexi the other day, how I'm sitting here talking with you, and I can see how buttons turn themselves on and off. And the dial on the microphone comes on and off. I'm not touching anything. It just happens. And you know what? All of us who are in this amazing Reconnected family, we know that when it comes to microphones and audio, oh boy, do they like to play tricks with us, right? But I was just saying while we were chatting that I am so proud of you guys, because it's this chat, the fire that you put in the chat, that really just inspires so many people to come and join us. And I just want to greet you back in. I see that Alejandro took all my advice and he went on for more of an adult beverage this morning or afternoon where you are, Alejandro. Very cool, you know. I see that we have Lula here and we have Chelsea and Asma. Hello, welcome, Sonia. I see VS as well, and Soren. Hello, Soren. I saw Darinka and Lula and Maria Luisa as well, and Laurent is here. Guys, you are wow. We have so many things to cover today, and there's so many takeaways that are going to come from this program that we really sincerely hope that they will inspire you to find that point of gravity for yourself. And let's go to that topic real quick, and welcome back to the chat. Okay, so when we're talking about regaining our grounding, we really are basically admitting that we possibly are feeling a little bit pulled from either one end or the other, from either side, where maybe we're feeling buffeted by the tides of change. And grounding is being such an important concept in our culture for quite a few decades, perhaps almost 100 years, since the concept that, that comes from other traditions is not particularly a Western tradition, but it comes from older traditions in which we all have a center of gravity that connects us with the planet. And in grounding ourselves, we have this connection with the earth, with our Mother Earth, with the provenance of, with the materials we're made of. If we are made from dust, if we are made from stars, but it connects us with nature, with it connects us with our true nature. And when we're thinking about grounding, so many of us have felt that during this particular moment in time that we are all experiencing together, that this grounding is suffering. It's simply suffering because we are not perhaps finding ourselves easily returning to the center. It may have been that when there was a latitude in which we felt off center, we had time to regain it back or discover new ways to get back to it. But right now it's not coming easily. It's definitely not coming easily. I don't know how many of you feel like little, I love this picture. How many of us are feeling like we are walking on a tightrope that all we need is a little push in either direction to lose our footing? It can be in a conversation, we lose our patience. It can be in a moment of making a decision. I know a lot of us are feeling very indecisive. We were just talking in a recent jam about even the prospect of stepping through the front door now has so many checklists that you need to go through to make sure that you're either complying or that you are also taking care of yourself and taking care of others, and decisions about what is safe to do or not to do. It starts to weigh in a little bit when you have so many uncertainties. We humans do not like uncertainty. We don't thrive typically when we find confronted daily with what seems to be chaos. This entropy that is just continuously expanding, it seems, correct? Has the sound come back, guys? Yes, sound has come back now. Excellent. Yes, I'm getting the thumbs up from Alexandra, from Lexi, and from Alejandro. Very good. And yeah, we're going to go to the comments. I saw a really funny one there. So when we have to need to find ourselves that we need to remind us that we can be grounded, that we can withstand the elements, that we have the actual wherewithal to be present and be glued to the ground, so to speak. We are inviting something very interesting. We're inviting our mind to redescribe for us who we are. We are basically falling back into the story of who we are. What does that look like? What is it that we stand for? What are our hopes and dreams? Is this kind of like our own, the other type of checklist that we have inside ourselves for ourselves? And how many of us are finding ourselves that we have to do that? Like we have to constantly go back and say, oh, wait, hang on. But here's the person who I really am versus this is what is being thrown at me. And I want to suggest here that because we end up appealing to our mind, right, for clarity on what's going on, to kind of clarify this uncertainty, we perhaps get a little bit more skewed and unsettled because truly, guys, as we know here, as we've talked about, the mind is so good at just running in directions that are not necessarily the most beneficial for us at a given time. And it will create layers of complication to confirm or deny whatever our instinct is pulling for us. And grounding is really, truly at its core, it's about instinct. And that's what I am so excited to have Kelly Woodruff, who is not only a Reconnective Healing instructor and mentor, he's also a Reconnective Healing yoga instructor and co-designer of the program. And he's going to help us navigate back to that personal center of gravity. He's going to be sharing his experience not only of what's going on in his life, we looked at it through what's going on in the world, but also remind us how frequencies, the Reconnective Healing frequencies in our daily lives make the difference. But first, as I promised, let's see what's happening in the chat. Yes, Sonia, embrace the change. Beautiful. I love that. Oh, yes, yes, yes. And we have Via saying, thank you, Dr. Eric Pearl, for receiving the blessings for all of us. That's a beautiful sentiment. Thank you for sharing that. And yes, absolutely, Lexi, it is instinct. Instinct. VS shares, yes. Phones, lights, the whole house, radios, TV, yes. These frequencies just do not have boundaries. Definitely no boundaries in their sense of humor and their ability to prod us into paying attention to something. So, guys, when that happens, I cannot let go of whatever it is that I was intending to do. And I just let them just fill the space and let me know, okay, maybe I need to rethink or the way that I was planning to present something, right? So it's good to be able to just let go on the fly like that. It's important. And we've talked about it in the jam. And you know what? Letting go is such an important component of being able to perceive our existence in other dimensions or these dimensions themselves. And that's what this Saturday premiere with Dr. Eric and Jillian is all about. Let me share this little clip for you.
If I were to take two fingers about an inch or two apart and touch you on your back, it would feel like 1 point. If I were to take two fingers an inch apart and touch you on the back of your hand or on your finger, you would clearly recognize those are two different points. We have far more sensation. Our nerves are very close together on our hands and our fingers because we do a lot with that. And that's what allows us, for example, to read Braille. Mm-hmm. Couldn't read Braille with your back. You wouldn't have that distinction.
Right.
So there are multiple limitations that we have that are part of a design, and it only therefore makes sense if that's in our physical design to experience through limitation and expansion. Then it's also part of our time awareness to learn through this limited perspective of existence.
Now, I think I'm not actually going to think about this. Okay. I'm going to experience it. We have a opportunity when we're not in what we'll call a gravity-bound body. And astronauts talk about this a lot. An overview effect. When we send our astronauts to the International Space Station and they leave planet Earth and they are 250 miles beyond the planet Earth, their ability to be able to perceive, looking back at Earth, a unity, a oneness, what many of them will purport is a multi-sensory, multi-dimensional understanding. And I bring in the word understanding because sometimes we have to, again, move beyond ourselves to see ourselves. You've heard me say that before. And most definitely, when we are talking about perception, we have to be willing to recognize perception, as Eric explained, has to catch up with us. That's how the brain, again, was designed. But when we leave Earth,
that is such a powerful topic, and we know it's a topic that is really important to you guys because it is fully inspired by your suggestions and all your requests. So guys, I put the link below. All you need to do is to RSVP for the premiere is click on that link, and the actual viewing link to the premiere will be sent out to you. Plus, remember, it will appear on your screen the moment that you submit your RSVP. And of course, you have that other little choice in which you just subscribe to this channel and you'll see the alert come up for you at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time this Saturday. Guys, and you know what? I saw another few little comments here that are super cool. I just wanted to share with you. We have Samantha who said, letting go is a beautiful transition. Letting go is, I find, guys, I got to share with you the most amazing sense of freedom. The most amazing sense of freedom I've personally ever experienced. To know that even if I let go, I'm taken care of. Whatever needs to happen is exactly what needed to happen and not perhaps what I was trying to control in any way to do. And that is such a key thing. Anytime we do the jam, Lexi and I will tell you that this is a norm, because we never know what's gonna happen, right, Lexi? So guys, I want to introduce to you somebody really doesn't need an introduction, but because we know we have new people with us here today, I'd like to, for all of you, to give a welcome to our amazing Kelly Woodruff, not only, as I said, an instructor and a mentor of Reconnective Healing, but also a Reconnective Healing yoga instructor and co-designer of that program. And furthermore, Kelly is somebody who has made this connection with himself, his physical entity, but also with all his other levels and bodies, and has this beautiful connection, which I have been so privileged to view when I've seen him on stage or when I'm seeing him doing yoga. And if you guys haven't seen him doing yoga, I invite you. I've put the link below. And here he is. Without further ado, let's say hello to Kelly Woodruff. Hi, Kelly.
Hi,
welcome.
Hi, Anna. Hi, everyone out there. How are you guys? How's everybody doing?
I think we have a lot of excited people to have you here. Let me tell you that. We have Melanie saying, hey. Lexi says, bravo, Kelly Woodruff. Yes. So
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Anna.
You know what? I couldn't have thought of, I didn't think, because usually what happens is that the questions come, and in frequencies, the person comes along too. And I am so honored that you've accepted, because this is a really important topic. I know I'm keeping it light and fun, but we know that when we are not grounded, things just impact us in so many ways. So let me ask you a personal question. How are current events impacting our ability to stay centered? In your view, how is it impacting us?
Right.
If I were to
there was a lot that you said in the intro and in the last couple of minutes that it really sparked a lot of thought for me, and I want to just kind of comment on those things as I go along as well. I think that there's no question that for the majority of the people who are living through this time, they find it a challenge to stay grounded. I think that we all have are having experiences that are challenging us on multiple levels. And I think it's important to start with to sort of exercise our ability to honor the experience that we're having. Because, ostrich head in the sand never really allowed anyone to get anything done, accomplished, or move forward. So, it's perfectly all right to acknowledge for yourself that this is a very tough time. It's a scary time for a lot of people. Change is never easy, and the kind of changes that we've been going through can really, really play havoc. There's a couple of things that you said I want to loop back to about mind and instinct, because while we all know that busy mind is one of the things that we often need to wrestle in our lives. That busy mind that just gets going and starts, as you say, moving in all different directions at once. It becomes very scattered. And I think that it's, again, very important to acknowledge that busy mind, the way that it's constructed and the way that we have adapted it, has actually adapted to sort of serve us. So while we really want to be careful, as it were, or to acknowledge the ability of busy mind to sort of run off the rails, we also, again, want to hold on to the honor of that, because, our thinking mind is what, differentiates us from lower creatures. So that's one part of it. The other thing about instinct that I think is really interesting is, one instinct that we, a lot of times in reconnective healing, I think sometimes we leave out, because we so recognize that there's no need for fear. We so recognize there's nothing really to be afraid of when we're doing this work. But also understand that actually fear, the initial fear impulse, is an instinct as well. So what we're talking about when we're talking about balancing our instinct with our busy mind is what we're talking about is allowing our busy mind to recognize the reaction of fear to situations of challenge or change, acknowledge the place that comes from, which is a very deep primal place that tries to keep us protected. And in using our active mind, separate out that instinct or that initial sort of knee-jerk reaction as something that we don't have to engage with. And by just simply acknowledging that it's natural to feel that sort of thing during these times, it begins to allow us to take the first steps towards sort of separating out where the instinctual boost can come and where those things can be a little bit amplifying to what's already going on. So once we've sort of separated all that stuff out and we've recognized, we've honored the busy mind and we've separated out fear as something that we know that we don't need to engage in, then what can we do? Which is really the question here today. What can we do to allow ourselves to keep grounded through this time? Right? That is sort of the $64,000 question, as it were. So as a yogi, of course, I have, we actually talked about in our practice this last week. It was a really great session. And I talked about the different ways in the physical practice that yogis use to sort of move things through. And part of moving things through is, of course, keeping things grounded and coming to that place of union, to peace. So the yogis have, over time, they've basically had in the physical practice of asana and pranayama, breath and movement, they have had two sort of ways, different prong ways that they approach this practice. And one of them is through movement. So for many people, actually getting out into a space, whether you can get out into nature or whether it's just in your apartment, and using movement as a method of grounding, literally dancing it out. Stomping your feet. A lot of times in our reconnective yoga practice, we actually touch the ground with our palms and really pat down and think of accessing and receiving the frequencies actually from the physical presence of the earth. And for yogis, that's a really big part of grounding, is building from the base of the ground. So it's literally grounding. We literally are feeling our physical form attached to the earth. And that can very easily and very simply help us to zoom our mind in and focus our attention and allow us to begin to let go of the external. So that's one way. The other way that yogis have approached things is by stillness. Now, the question for me is always, is stillness really an option in times of super challenge if we are not used to being in stillness normally? Now, I always say right up front, I was a dancer, and for me, the easiest way in, and actually the easiest way for me to calm my busy mind, is through movement. So asana was a very natural way. Vinyasa, flow, all those things were a very natural way for me to begin to focus and to begin to come to my center. It took me quite a while to be able to then sit in stillness, which for me works very well after I've done a physical practice. And in that stillness, then allow myself to be grounded down. So again, I want to really recognize and talk to everyone out there about the fact that just because you may have trouble during these times of just sitting with yourself, don't ever, criticize or judge that, because in essence, this time that we're living in is very, very Rajasic. It's very, very Rajasic as a yoga term. It's like very busy and scratchy. There's a lot going on. So very often for people who aren't used to being seated, stillness into stillness, that can be a real challenge. So don't judge yourself. Now, all of that said, and where I want to loop back to the reconnective healing frequencies, is that as we have said often, I know you've said this on the Jam, Anna, every aspect of our life, every process, every experience, everything that we do as humans in this physical form is enhanced, expanded, and somehow amplified by our access and our use of the reconnective healing frequencies. So it makes a lot of sense that in these cases, if we supercharge, for example, either the movement, dance, or yoga, or whatever it is, or supercharge our stillness going into stillness, then we supercharge those with the reconnective healing frequencies. Again, it gives us an opportunity to expand, to have a more amplified connection to the true of ourselves as well as the fullness of the universe. Now, there's one caveat that I'm going to say about this, and it's interesting because I've recently, I've been watching some of Eric and Jillian's meditations and been doing my own meditations with frequencies in class. And one of the things I do want to give everyone a heads up: when you're using the Reconnective Healing frequencies, particularly if you're using them for doing movement or whatever, it is really important to take a lot of breath and be sure that you are aware of physically grounding down as you use these frequencies. We've recognized over the years that for a lot of people, sometimes when they first get introduced to the frequencies, it can start to be a very heady experience, if you will. And that's wonderful, and it's great when people want to sort of float off in a balloon. But what we're talking about today is really the ability to use these frequencies to ground. So again, keeping in our conscious attention our ability to connect to the earth, to connect to the ground, to connect to our base, enhanced by the frequencies, rather than just allowing ourselves to sort of get into a mindset that just things begin to spin either even further. And so that's something to be conscious of, especially if you're just learning with the frequencies or you're just starting to experiment with this sort of thing. I'm a very big advocate of being sure that you remain connected, because what we want to do is keep, as Ana said, thank you for that compliment, by the way, Ana, we want to keep all aspects of ourselves connected through this very, very wide, broad, and expansive pipeline of frequencies. We want to have all multidimensional aspects connected. So we want to keep our physical connection to the ground. We want to keep our physical connection to the body, to the mind, to the emotions, and then to the spirit and to the emotions and to the dimensions beyond. So I think that it's really important to remember that as we're using these frequencies in these troubled times to ground down ourselves. And it's not a big deal. I mean, this is in no way any sort of ritual protection or whatever. It's just a consciousness. It's just an expanded consciousness. And we all love, every single one of us loves to just float off into the ethers. But since we're focused today on grounding, I just want to say that these frequencies can really help you to amplify your experience of connecting to the base, connecting to the earth. And again, all we need to do is just put our attention there. That's all we have to do, is just put our attention. And as you know, again, and I quote the yogis, the ancient rishis have always said, where attention goes, energy flows. So that's what I've got to start with. Ana, what do you say?
What can I tell you? I'm here going like, wow! Seriously, this is I'm loving that you brought up so many interesting concepts and important concepts. Precisely, I love that you brought up how we handle fear. I think that there is such an important point in which, if danger comes up for you via instinct, right? It's not a matter of falling in denial about it. It's acknowledging that it's there, but not running in immediately in that direction, but allowing it to see if it's true danger or if it's a product of the act of the busy mind, painting it a picture of something that is not there. It's just filling in the blanks for you. You also said something that I feel is so important about, for all of those of us whose stillness, the concept of stillness is still like very new, and we are discovering ways for ourselves, right, to regain that grounding that can come through stillness. I would say also, obviously, through movement, like you said, yoga, dancing. For some of us who are a little bit challenged in the movement department, but stillness may be a very good option. And I know you're not exempt from being a witness to what's going on in the world. Tell me, Kelly, personally, how are you handling some of these global situations in your own life? If you could share with us a couple of stories.
Sure, Ana, of course. It's interesting. It has really been a challenge on a lot of levels. I think, for me personally, as most people all you guys that know me know, I still have sort of a foot in both worlds, which I love. And that is, I run a business in New York City where I live. And so I, as one of the two partners in this business with a lot of employees that we're responsible for, have felt I felt very challenged in taking care and being mindful of trying to do the best that we possibly can for our employees and continuing for our business to run. And so in that just one story in that process, and in working towards the very sort of real goals of keeping our business open and keeping our business going, I found myself in needing to do some things that are certainly not my favorite part of any part of running an architectural interior design business, and that is really dealing with banks and loans and grants from the government and all that stuff. And there were a couple of moments when I really had to stop and sit. And again, this is where I'm so thankful that I've now gotten to the point where I'm able to be still. And by putting my attention, and this is really true, by simply putting my attention on the frequencies, it now allows me to go to that place of stillness. I almost use it as a focal point for my meditations. Many times, of course, when we're doing reconnective yoga, but just throughout my life is, rather than if I'm having any sort of time going into a place of stillness or meditating, I very, very often will simply, bring my hands up, put my attention on the frequencies, and it allows me to just drop in. And so in this time of very scrambly, earthbound, like paperwork, busy mind stuff, I a couple of times actually just sat back and connected to the frequencies, allowed myself to clear. And it was amazing because the clarity that came through, not just for my own self, but literally it's almost as if I was looking at a page of letters that were scrambled around. And after doing that, it was like someone had kind of shaken the papers, and everything fell into order. It all fell into words and sentences that I understood, and instructions and how to do it and all that stuff. So that's really a true and one of the amazing blessings that I have from sort of being in this world, this sort of, with a foot in the other world, in this world. So that was one thing that happened. Another thing that happened for me, which is sort of sad and unfortunate, is we recently went through a transition of a relationship during this time. And, not to go into too much detail, but I'm sure that a lot of people have really felt a very different level of pressure and challenge to their relationships throughout the quarantine time and dealing with this. And, it's really, I'm a firm believer, and I really do mean this, I'm a firm believer that we go through things at the time and the space and the way that we're supposed to. And in this case, it really exacerbated a lot of challenges and issues that had come up with this person. And the amazing thing that I think is so, I just feel, again, I'm in awe and so blessed, is that throughout this time, they decided that they would also start doing reconnective yoga. And I want to tell you that through a practice that we did recently in class with everyone, I believe that both of us really had what I would consider to be a miraculous reconnective healing. Because the norm for many, transitions and relationships, it takes a long time to get over the sadness and the anger and this and that and the other. And, we both experience the frequencies and have this very deep interaction with the frequencies through this class. And, the next day we both came out of it and we were able to sit down and we were able to break it down. We both took our own responsibility and we're really able to go through this amazing accelerated healing that is, I in my experience in relationships, I've really never seen. I saw something change and shift in this person in 24 hours that I think that they've been battling with for probably their whole life. And I really, really attribute it to them and myself having an interaction with the frequencies that helped to transition through this time. So again, for those of you that know me, you know that I have many stories throughout my 19 years of experience with the work that have allowed me to make changes, come into spaces of healing and transition in ways that were so unexpected. And this is the most recent experience, and it just once again reaffirms for me the certainty that I know that reconnective healing is truly unlike any of our other modalities any of the modalities that have gone before, as far as energy, that this energy, light, and information, this new language of receivership, as Jillian loves to say, is really still, for me, to this point, still has the opportunity to make some amazing healings manifest. So.
Yeah, right. Isn't it sometimes like when, I don't know, maybe people can share with me here in the chat. There's a point in that you think that you reach a plateau with these frequencies, that you kind of have explored everything at that point that they can bring, and suddenly, boom, everything is turned around, and you have this healing. So this exchange in frequencies that it just defies. And you don't even realize that you were curtailing or trying to curtail their ability to influence everything, right?
Well, the amazing thing about this is, and this is this is really the truth. Again, loops back to something you said in the intro that I want to touch on is, this letting go, this idea of just release and allowing. For me, I've really found in the last number of years as I've lived a life that's been steeped in living in the frequencies. And by the way, when I say that, I want you all to know that that does not in any way, shape, or form mean that I think that I'm perfect, that the way that I live my life is perfect, or that every experience has been perfect. None of that. But it's just the path and the way that I move through things. So the thing that I find most remarkable then is a great example of this this last transition that I went through is, I wasn't conscious of asking, quote unquote, for healing. I wasn't even conscious of thinking, oh, well, maybe if I just shoot them a little heat frequency and I shoot myself a little frequencies, then we're all going to be, no, it's not like, it wasn't that at all. And I've found many, many times in the last few years that just by living a life steeped in the frequencies, and in this case, going about my day and teaching my class and having a really wonderful experience with all of these people that are in class and amplifying this connection, that it really did what Erica has always said, and that is it's going to go exactly where it needed to go. It went exactly and did exactly what needed to happen. And I'm just so in awe of that. I continue to be in awe of that. So I really, I didn't even know what else I can say other than it's just, I am constantly amazed. And this is yet again, one more experience that I found like, oh, well, there you go. Reconnective healing frequencies. Excellent. So.
Oh yeah, it is a daily occurrence, and for all of these people who are joining us, all of us who are discovering all of these other levels of existing and living and experiencing life and our environment via the frequencies, through the frequencies, it is all inspiring. The things that we discovered, you know what? I want to take a moment, Kelly, because Jillian joined us a little bit back, and I wanted to acknowledge that. Hello, Jillian. Jillian posted a beautiful comment here about instinct that I want to read out loud. I just don't want it to be eaten up by all the chat. Guys, your comments are awesome. Keep them coming. Instinct is what you are, not what you do or feel. Instinct is always present. And when you allow yourself to receive and observe, there it is. It is always the witness. It is always present before your experiences are experienced. Beautifully put, Jillian. We have Nan who's saying, love you, Kel. A personal note.
Hi, Nan. Hi, Nan. Welcome back from the rainforest.
That's
you guys,
wonderful.
I just want to, I honestly, I just love to take a half a second to acknowledge Nancy Santullo. She's taken our training. She's been a client and a friend of mine for many, many years. And this woman is someone who goes into the rainforest on the mission to bring fresh water to indigenous people that have not had that. And it is really an amazing journey, an amazing mission that she's been on. You guys can see her on Facebook and check it out, because the work that she does is super important, and it's a miracle. So, and by the way, she does some super groovy reconnective healings from the rainforest down there, you can imagine. So I just want to say hi, Nan. So yeah, and I also want to add, Jillian, to what Jillian said, Anna, because I think it's so important that it really is not what you do. Instinct is really what you are, and following the truth of that and using the conscious mind to separate out the fears and the things that can drive us really affirms exactly that in that message.
I think it's still such the beginning of this conversation. I think a lot of people are finally starting to understand their own relationship with instinct, and are finally overcoming whatever preconceived notions we've had of it. Because come on, we've grown up, vast majority of us, looking at instinct as something basic, if not debaseable, about humanity, and it's anything but. So this conversation, or as Jillian called it, the instinct, when the way that Solomon refers to it in the book, it's an ongoing discovery for each of us. It may be such a clear point of information clearance for each of us, right? The point of action,
Right.
where the information comes in pure, undiluted, unfiltered, unadulterated, no narrative attached. It is like the color is blue. That's it. And then we start,
Right.
it gets to our mind and starts going, well, it could be bluish. I see a little bit of green too. The instinct is still saying, the color is blue. There's no judgment. It's just saying
Right.
the color is blue. But listen, I have a really important question here, and I don't want us to run out of time. By the way, Jennifer Lynn wants to thank you. She says, thank you, Kelly. Your sharing, your experience really helps me with the transition I'm going through too. Thank you, Kelly. Seriously, everybody who comes on the
You're
jam,
welcome.
we're always grateful. Your share makes such a difference. When you talk about yoga, when we talk about meditation as grounding tools, give us an idea of in your personal experience, how is it that reconnective healing enhances and expands the experience?
Okay, absolutely. And this is really the main sort of tenet and what we've been discovering and experimenting with and really have been affirmed with reconnective yoga. And from the very beginning, even when we were just sort of thinking about it and talking about it among practitioners, and when we began to sort of experiment with it, we immediately recognized the introduction of the frequencies into any sort of practice, any aspect of practice really enhanced it. And the interesting thing about it was we have done several classes around the world, a couple of different places around the world, inviting yogis in who have been reconnected healing practitioners. And we really ran those classes as sort of experimental workshops as much as teachings or learnings, because we wanted to know what these people, what their experiences were. We did not want to just say to them, well, you sit down, you do this, you do that, and this is what you're going to get. And we attracted yoga teachers from several different schools of yoga. And it's basically, it's universal. And I have had the opportunity for many years to be a good friend with my yoga teacher and my yoga mentor, my yogi Raj, as it were, Douglas Stewart. And Douglas, from the very beginning, also had an expanded experience when introducing these frequencies into his practice. And that's someone who's been practicing yoga for 20 years or 25 years. So the very simple and short story for those of you who have not yet joined us in a Reconnected yoga class is that we are expanding our experience by focusing our attention on the frequencies, how those frequencies can move throughout the body, perhaps using the breath as sort of the engine, or at the same time the perhaps the pathways of the breath, the places that we find ourselves able to breathe into, places of tension or tightness, and releasing and allowing for the frequencies to sort of pool and expand in those spaces, that we can literally supercharge the entire practice, whether it's an asana practice, vinyasa, or whether it's a meditation practice. Now, for me personally, as I say, when we sit in a reconnective yoga class, or when I sit in my own personal meditations, I very, very much find the ability to simply place my attention on some aspect or some experience of the frequencies, perhaps between my palms, perhaps by laying my palms on my heart and feeling them within my heart, that it instantly galvanizes my awareness. It instantly increases my connection and brings me to a place of peace and stillness that the busy mind no need for it. It literally supersedes any necessity for this kind of active thought that we're so used to engaging in. So I encourage all of you, anyone that has any sort of meditation practice, for those of you who are already Reconnected Healing practitioners, you probably noticed right away that your meditation seemed to change. And I really encourage you to sort of experiment with that. And again, while doing it, please, I just encourage you to keep grounded, keep connected to the earth, because we are, as much as we are multidimensional entities, part of one of those dimensions is we are here on this earth at this time. And so we need to continue for this physical body to continue to work at its optimal rate, balance, everything. We do have to continue to remain grounded to the earth. Otherwise, we just float away, and we don't want to do that yet. We're not ready to get off the planet, as it were. So that's a little bit of a hint and a little insight into ways that we can use that in that way.
You know what you brought up for me when you were talking about the interaction between how to place your hands over your heart and just getting a sense of your own self, your own body. I felt such a rush of love. I don't know about you guys, but it was to me such a rush of self-love and that infinite love, Sometimes we fail a little at that. Let's not use fail. Let's just say we put it in the back seat. The back seat about self-love.
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, self-love is a challenge. So Kimberly had a beautiful note that she wanted to share with us. When we choose to engage with the frequencies, we are giving them permission to go to work for our highest good. Exactly. That's exactly true. I mean, whenever you are doing a meditation or yoga, the moment you interact with them, you're inviting them really to take over, and it's more than we're going in for the ride, right, Kelly? It's not even that. It's more like we become collaborators.
Absolutely.
Are you finding that in your yoga class when you are, tell us a little bit about your yoga class and other projects that you may be coming up, and how is that creating that loop for you?
So, Anna, I want to acknowledge one thing that Jillian did put in the chat here, which I see that I just love, and it's on the money. And she says, Reconnective Yoga reveals when we connect, receive, and then recognize the presence of them, meaning the frequencies, we become more of them and less of the content of our identity. And that is so on the money, right? And that's really what yoga has always tried to do anyway, which is allow us to let go of the trappings of the physical world and come into this balance and this state of union with all aspects of the self. And so in Reconnective Yoga, as she says, it shows us that when we place our attention on it, that we are then able to become more of it. And I think that's amazing. So just a little, some tags about what's going on. We have our Reconnective Yoga series happening. We are now in the third series. We're about halfway through the third series of 4 weeks that we've done. I will encourage anyone that happens to be listening to this, you can go ahead and still sign up. It's not too late, because when you sign up, you get links that allow you to go replay past classes. And I hope all of you out there who are signed up, who are using the classes, go back and look at them again throughout the week, and you have the opportunity to practice with them over the time, and to really, again, it's just like anything. I've always said that one of the things about reconnective healing, as much as anything, is living in the frequencies takes a little bit of practice. Yes, of course, we always have our access to them. They're always there present for us. It's never that we're disconnected from them. But we, again, are physical beings walking through this physical world. And as Anna says, it's easy to get bumped and pushed aside and get out of self-love and all that stuff. And so I just say to everyone, when we talk about living in the frequencies, which I'm actually going to speak about that in just a moment, we're really talking about sort of flexing the muscle, practicing of remembering to use our consciousness and our attention to be present with the frequencies, particularly in times of challenge, which is exactly what we're talking about today. So our Reconnective Yoga class is ongoing. It has been building itself. That's all I want to say. These frequencies are an intelligence. The intelligence knows what needs to happen, the way it needs to happen. I'm super thankful that Jillian sort of pushed me finally to get off my, pardon the word, butt, and start teaching online, and it's been amazing, and we hope to continue that. We're really looking for that program to continue to grow. Also, for those of you who have not yet heard of or know about or have engaged in our Living in the Frequency series, right now we're in our 1-2-3 series, I guess it is, yes, Living in the Frequencies in English in Europe. We have an amazing teaching team that is presenting that work, and Living in the Frequencies is another one of those, that course and that series is another one of those experiences where the frequencies they had an idea. and first sparked in Rob Koenig, co-director for the Reconnection. And then he reached out to Joan Fowler and myself, and we were sort of the three of us kind of took that spark and really were just the vessels and the mouthpiece that it all came through. I say all the time, we didn't write the course just came through us. So that's an amazing experience. We're going to be teaching a section in Spanish. We're going to have sections coming up in Italian and Portuguese, another English speaking section. So you guys really, I can't say enough about how wonderful it has been to be involved in that process and creating that course and learning from it. And everyone so far who's engaged with us, I think, has just enjoyed it so much. So those are two examples right off the bat of how these frequencies really do have this intelligence and want to continue to get the word out in the way that's appropriate. And the people hear it when it's time and as it's appropriate. Our job, and for all of you who are practitioners, is just to go out and be the light, just be that work and be who you are, shining that work and shining the light that you are. And that's what's really going to continue to shift this world. I do want to say one more thing about what we're going through right now. And I believe I've said this before. I've said this a couple of times on stage. And I think that what we're witnessing right now in this transition that we're going with is really the culmination of the shift of the ages. And so what we're seeing in all of this kind of, I don't mean to judge, but all the kind of ugliness that we're seeing throughout the world and all of these things that are happening, I think it's just sort of the last hurrah for this very old paradigm that has been on the planet for a long time. It's a last hurrah, and it is a challenge. It's not just a switching on of a light switch and suddenly everything is all great and perfect. But that said, I do believe that we are moving into this new space of light and information, and that what's going on right now has no way but to continue to resolve in the very best ways for everyone, meaning that we will shine the light on that. And because we've shined light on that, all of that darkness has there's nothing there. There's nothing for it to hang on to. So just, that's my little message for today. I really want you to continue to go out and be the light and just live in the frequencies and bring this work as much forward as you can.
Kelly, that is absolutely beautiful and so on point. Yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm fairly certain that most people here will agree with you. We may be seeing exactly what you're describing. This is it. This is where all the entire shift finally comes to a head. And this is the moment in which all timelines, right? All pathways, the whole history of what we put together comes to a head. And when you when you shine that light, darkness has nowhere to go but reveal what is still is lingering, and then that has no place to hang on to. Kelly, what a beautiful message. We're almost out of time here. Is there anything else you'd like to add for these amazing people here who are with us live and maybe joining us in the replay?
Well, of course, first, again, Anna, thank you for having me. I'm always glad to drop in whenever you need me or, you feel like it's the right thing to do. I have been extremely blessed recently to begin mentoring people who are moving into our mentor program. And it just reminds me of the joy that it brings to me personally when I have the opportunity to talk about this work and these frequencies on a very deep level, beyond what I can bring when I'm just doing the work with my clients, which of course I love. So I appreciate the opportunity for this platform. And I just want to reiterate, you guys, everyone listening, you understand that you are the light. You are the next generation. You are the new paradigm. You are the bringers of light on the planet. And there is nothing at this time that's more important than that. There's nothing more important than you being who you are and living in these frequencies and bringing that work forward in that way. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep bringing it. I feel it. Thank you very much. It's excellent.
Thank you, Kelly. And yes, we definitely need to bring you back soon so we can continue perhaps looking more in depth about the concept of the shift and how one thought about it is actually revealing itself to be much more that was even envisioned by the people who predicted it in our history, in our human history. Thank you, Kelly. Hugging you in frequencies.
Love you, Ana. Thank you. Thank you, all you guys. It was great.
Bye. So I want to again thank Kelly for this amazing conversation we've had. And I think I could hear here that we have other topics that I know are going to be very important as we continue this conversation. And I want to remind you, I've put the link to reach out to Kelly directly is right here. All you need to do is click on that link and reach out to Kelly. And Melanie, I'm so happy Cecilia jumped in and got you that clip for yoga. My friends, my Reconnective family, if you have not gifted yourself the experience of Kelly and yoga, please do so. Please do so. Bring this into your life, because truly just the experience of it transforms you. Just being in that classroom, this virtual classroom, transforms you, transforms us. I saw here a beautiful comment from Jillian. I want to acknowledge it. When Jillian says, with Reconnective Healing, we all share not an enlightened self, but the light of the self that shines constantly and brightly behind all experience and in the midst of all experience. I couldn't say it better than Kelly. Be the light. Be. Just be, because you already are that change. You don't need to become the change. You are the change where you walk. And I want to quote you, Maria Luisa, you're in the house. As Maria Luisa told us in a jam on Tuesday, our Spanish version, wherever we walk, these flowers just bloom. And we don't need to do anything. We just need to be. Guys, we have a busy weekend. We have yoga on Saturday with Kelly at 9 a.m. The link is here. You really need to treat yourselves to it. And on Saturday as well at 10:30, we are going to be discussing detecting the presence of other dimensions, because it's good on dandy to talk about being multidimensional and we exist in all these places, but the question arises, how come we can't see them or interact with them like right here? I know there is something else here. How come I cannot see it? Is that, what are we missing out? So Eric and Jillian are going to be talking about this. To just get that link, RSVP, the link is below. Go ahead, click there, and your link will come your way, or subscribe to this channel. And it will be a beautiful alert, boop, that will just pop up in your notifications for YouTube. Guys, Solomon is on its way. A couple more weeks to go. And seriously, this is another gift for humanity. I can tell you that whenever that class goes on, the fabric of reality just shakes, just shimmers. It glitters and shimmers. Something magical happens during this class. And I want to encourage you to go and explore it too. I have put the link here. Treat yourself. These are tools. These are inspiration that are coming from Dr. Eric, Jillian, from Kelly, from the entire Reconnection team to help transform the world. And thanks to your suggestions, comments, the next level of interaction with Reconnective Healing and the Reconnection is coming your way. It's the Reconnective Life, and we have prepared a gateway for you. And it's so important that you take the survey. I've put the link below. Help us steer the ship, the spaceship, into all the dimensions it needs to go. It will happen with your input. Your input is so important. So please take that survey. Time is running out. Maybe one more week until the surveys are closed. Take that survey today. Let us know. Let us know what's in your heart. And guys, here in the chat, as always, you are on fire. On fire. You know, when you guys are just chatting like this, you are sending to yourselves this amazing relationship, this amazing conversation that we're having beyond the ability to just text. These words that you're writing here are just expanding in frequencies elsewhere. You know, this is more than just sending text via YouTube. You are allowing people to discover us and you in your light, in the power in the power that you are. Thank you so much, and keep the comments coming. You make me so proud, and I am in awe of you. Here are 3 simple things, 3 takeaways for today's topic that perhaps can help you retain that conversation that we've had today. I invite you to rewatch this jam because Kelly made some very specific suggestions, and I am not going to paraphrase him when he explains them so beautifully. But if you wanted to explore the possibility of getting instant grounding, here are 3 points. Attention on the frequencies. Make a point of accessing these reconnective healing frequencies frequently, as often as the thought pops up in your head. Just go there. Don't even question it. Just interact with them. Put your attention there. Where attention goes, energy flows. We just heard Kelly say it. We've heard Jillian say it multitude of times. Second, and so important when it comes to grounding, interact with nature and maybe incorporate the reconnective healing frequencies, right? It's more than hugging a tree. It's more than just putting your feet on the ground. As Kelly was saying, let it rebuild. Let this relationship rebuild with you, your grounding, your presence in this particular 4D world, in this planet Earth. It is through nature, because our bodies are part of what constitutes the entire natural aspect of this reality we're in. And last but not least, stay in touch with your joy. And joy is not happiness, because happiness is a moving feast. Happiness ebbs and flows. But if you are in touch with that joy, the moment in which you are without a doubt in the bliss of something that is truly who you are, knowing yourself that light, that instantly brings you into that knowingness that comes from knowing that you are the change, you are the light, you already are. There's nothing else you can add and do to expand your perfection. You already are this. And when you incorporate the reconnective healing frequencies to all aspects of the way that you define yourself, the need to define yourself disappears, because all that remains is who you really are, what you really are, your essential, eternal, infinite self, with all its possibilities and potential. Guys, that clock is ticking and YouTube is going to start playing tricks on us. So I want to thank you all again. And in particular, I want to thank Kelly Woodruff. Kelly, you got to come back. You got to come back, and we're going to do like a special program about your inspiration. Send us a couple of thoughts and comments, and let's see if we can build something that is truly something that we can explore together here with the Reconnective Healing family. And I remind you guys that the portal, that first hour, is the gift from Dr. Eric and Jillian on the reconnection to humanity. That hour is free. It's free. If you haven't done the portal for a while, I'd like to encourage you to go back in and just select a segment at random, watch it, enjoy it, sit back, interact, let it speak to you. A lot of people are finding that what they thought they understood last time they saw it is now speaking in a very different level and very much in current terms. Even in some cases, I was told, previewing and showing what we're living right now, the answers, the discussion of it is already in the portal. And you know what? Send the link out. Send it to people. Just randomly send it to people. Whomever needs to have access to this. Like Kelly said, the frequencies take care of things. What needs to happen, the person that needs to receive it at that time because it's appropriate to them, they will click on it. There's no need to think that this is so particular or so, rarefied or off-center that we cannot share it. Guys, if anything has come out from today is that reconnective healing may be one of the most powerful tools to regain our grounding, no matter what the situation looks like. And again, thank you, Lexi, Alexandra, Cecilia Sams. You ladies rock, as well as everybody in the chat. And not to just, single out people, but Jillian, it's always an honor to have you here. Always an honor for your shares to get not only posted here, but how you allows it to expand the conversation that we start here in the jam. You definitely always take it to that next level, and we are grateful to you. Thank you so much for participating here as well. Gina is chanting Ana, 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 which rhymes with, oh, that was like, yeah, Jillian, you can post it if you want to. As always, it is an honor to be the presenter for the RH Jam. My name is Ana Clavell. I love you all. I'm hugging you in frequencies, and I'll see you next Thursday right here on the Jam with very special guests. Notice that it's plural? I'll let you guess. Alrighty, see you next Thursday.